Do you think she knows?
Absolutely not. No. Oh.
Sheesh.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another video on the Great Onigiri Man channel. I recently got back from the trip of a lifetime, and so today I'm going to take you through how I spent 18 days traveling across Japan. Now, because we did so much on this trip, I'll be speedrunning through a lot of the cool stuff we did, but I will be making several dedicated videos going forward on individual topics, so if you enjoy this video, please help the channel out by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the Great Onigiri Man channel for more upcoming videos on Japan.
Day 1.
We started our trip a day early by flying to London Heathrow the night before, where we stayed at an airport hotel. We then got up early for our 13-hour flight from London Heathrow to Haneda Airport. We chose to fly with JAL, or Japan Airlines, and I honestly couldn't give them enough praise. During our flight, we got 2 meals, multiple snacks, and what was pretty much an open bar for the duration of the flight. And before we knew it, we were flying into the land of the rising sun. And Henta. From here, we got a bus directly from the airport to Shinjuku Station, where it was a 5-minute walk to our new home for the next 4 days, Kabukicho Tower. Or more specifically, the hotel that covers the 20th to the 30th floor, Hotel Groove. Right about now, we were all completely sleep deprived and just wanted to go to bed, but we had about 5 hours to kill before we could even check in, so we dropped our bags off and went to the first of many arcades, where I had my first taste of complete and utter defeat via claw machine. After that, we got some yummy food, and on our way back to the hotel, couldn't help but stop off at another arcade. You're going to see a pattern here. After we got back to the hotel, we had the most needed sleep of our entire lives. After rising from the dead, we had a little explore around Kabukicho, and ended up in the first of many Don Quixotes along the trip. We then split into 2 groups. One went to a bar nearby, and the rest of us headed back to Kabukicho Tower to check out the Bandai Namco arcade on the 2nd floor. But the real reason for skipping the bar with the other guys and going back to Kabukicho Tower was that I was scheming. Cause little did my partner of 10 years know, she was about to get proposed to.
We're having a wee strong zero and Asahi.
Asahi.
And what have we got going on over here, Emma?
Oh.
Give me the dates.
Oh, so this is one sexy bad boy ring
Okay.
for one sexy bad boy bitch.
Oh fuck. Do you think she knows?
Absolutely not. No. Oh.
Sheesh. That looks pretty tasty.
It's happening.
Ooh.
Now, there's no footage of this proposal, as I wanted it to be natural and not ruin the moment, but it was 25 stories up in Kabukicho Tower in our hotel room with an unreal view of Kabukicho at night, and unlucky for her, she said yes. We then went back downstairs to meet the rest of our friends and have a few celebratory drinks, and we had this nice gentleman come over and serenade us with one of our favourite anime openings of all time, We Are.
Day 2.
After our new morning routine of hitting up the nearest 7-Eleven, we were off for the day and off to Shinjuku Station. On the way, we got to see the coolest Jujutsu Kaisen advertisement on the 3D billboards facing the station. Today, we were starting ourselves off with Team Lab Planets, which for anyone who doesn't know, is just one big immersive experience. Each room has something really unique going on, whether it's a soft bouncy floor, an endless maze of LED lights, the water room where it's filled with LED koi fish that interact with you walking through the water. But I think the fan favourite with our group was the room full of giant inflated bouncy balls. Every time we left a room and went to go to the next one, I was thinking to myself, what the fuck is next? There was plenty of weird and wonderful things here to experience, and I would definitely recommend it if you ever get the chance. After this, we got to go to Shibuya and see the famous Shibuya crossing. Be it raining and flooded with umbrellas, we spent most of the day exploring Shibuya and its thousands of amazing shops. Now, this was a dream for me in particular, because I was super excited to get to see the Shonen Jump store, the Pokemon store, but most importantly, I was in heaven when I finally got to go to the Nintendo Tokyo store. I've been a huge Nintendo fan for my whole life, so this was an absolute dream for me, and I could have spent all my money on day 2. We then hit up a number of really cool clothing stores, and I got the most epic jacket I have ever owned in my entire life.
Yeah.
I'll take this.
Impossible, double side.
After a long day of shopping, we went for some sushi before going to Shibuya Sky, which was
Nice. Nice.
It was foggy as all hell, and the roof was shut as well, so overall, pretty pointless. But the party didn't stop there, because we were back in Kabukicho, where little did we know we were about to have one of the best nights of the entire trip. We started off with some drinks at a bar about 5 minutes from the hotel, where we met a couple of Japanese dudes who tagged along for the rest of the night. Then around 1:30 in the morning, we moved on to one of our favourite bars in Japan, Sai Rock Bar. This is a rock and metalhead's paradise, which was perfect for us. All of the bar staff in here were absolute legends, and were happy to chat away and take music requests the entire night. At one stage, I was even behind the bar pouring myself a drink, and we stayed here partying until they closed at around 5 in the morning. What a night.
Day 3.
The next day, we woke up late, surprise surprise, and right outside of Kabukicho Tower, there was some sort of festival and various acts going on. After watching this for a bit, we headed off for the night to Nakano City, where we went to a yakiniku restaurant where you barbecue your own cuts of meat and vegetables. After that, we went to something I was super excited to go to since even before we booked flights for the trip, and that was the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Bar. This place is a JoJo fan's paradise. It had nearly every existing bit of JoJo merch in the world inside. Every single drink was named after either a character or a reference to the series, but it wouldn't tell you what was actually in your drink, so every time you ordered a drink, it was a complete and utter surprise, and some of the references were just absolutely insane. In a couple of hours, we managed to work our way through about 20 of the 200 or so available drinks on the menu, and yeah, some of them were just insane. I could seriously talk about this place all day, but moving on, because next up was a karaoke bar, and I just feel bad for the guys who worked there. We sang our hearts out until the early hours of the morning and missed the last train back to Shinjuku, so we grabbed a tinny and made a 40-minute pilgrimage back to our hotel, which was a really lovely walk because Nakano is absolutely gorgeous.
Fun, 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 fun.
Day 4.
Woke up, and wouldn't you guess, 7-Eleven time for breakfast. And today was Akihabara Day. Yes, the famous Weebland of Japan with hundreds of anime and video game related stores. It was pretty cool to get this one ticked off the list as I've wanted to go for years. After spending loads of money and getting more delicious food, we headed back to Shinjuku for a tinny before heading out to what was undoubtedly one of the craziest experiences of our whole lives, the Muscle Girl Bar. This place was absolute high energy madness from start to finish, and it definitely lived up to the hype. All was going well until this happened. Even my new fiancée was loving it so much that she took it upon herself to get on the stage and have the last slap. She used her ring hand. The ring hand! And this was the start of an 8-day long swollen cheekbone for me. After 90 minutes straight of unlimited drinks and slaps, most of the guys were wrecked, but as it was our last night in Tokyo, I wasn't ready to go to bed. So in the early hours of the morning, we went to a magic bar, and I am not joking when I say this guy Kuro was pretty much as good as a magician could possibly get. If you're ever in the Kabukicho area and you're looking for something crazy, just do yourself a favour and don't skip this one.
Day 5.
And sadly, it was time to leave Tokyo behind. But before we headed down to Kyoto, we were spending the night at a ryokan in a small town called Fujikawaguchiko, which is a small ryokan town near the base of Mount Fuji. During our stay, we got to change into yukatas and had a ginormous feast with an array of different food. Overall, the stay was really lovely, and it was a complete wind-down day that we needed to relax after 4 days of partying straight in Tokyo. And that night we had a long soak in the onsens. A big reason for us picking this place was that it is supposed to have a fantastic view of Mount Fuji, but unfortunately the weather was absolute shit and we saw none of it. But the rooms and the experience was still great, and I would definitely go back for another ryokan visit.
Day 6.
We started today with a buffet breakfast before getting on our very first Shinkansen to Kyoto, where we were staying for the next 3 nights. The place we were staying was an Airbnb, and it was honestly the most beautiful stay of maybe the entire trip. The whole house had a nice traditional aesthetic, the rooms were lovely, and there was a large kitchen/communal area where we ended up spending quite a lot of time in the evenings. That night we were all absolutely wrecked from travelling and the days before, so we had a quiet night in with some drinks and games.
Day 7.
Today was another really hyped day for me because we were lucky enough to get tickets to the newly opened Nintendo Museum. What made this so lucky was that it was the 8th day it was even open, so we were one of the very first to get to experience it. On entry, you got a little pass with your name on it. We got some cool photos on the way in with the Mario pipes and the Toads. There's 2 main floors. The top floor you can't film in, but it's literally what you'd expect a museum to be. The bottom floor, where you could film, was full of different activities. One of the big highlights for me was the room full of giant Nintendo controllers, where one person operates the buttons and the other operates the movement. My brother and I managed to get through 2 whole levels of Super Mario World for the SNES.
6 seconds. Okay, go on. Go on, jump. Jump. Oh, 2 levels through.
And on the way out, we proceeded to spend an absurd amount of money in the gift shop, which was unbelievable. And then that night we had another chill night in with some drinks and some Switch games.
Day 8.
And we were finally getting to see the more traditional side of Kyoto. We were heading to the Gion district. We went up to the Kiyomizu-dera temple, which was absolutely beautiful, and walked down the famous Ninenzaka Street, which was like going back 1200 years in time. A surreal experience and a must if you're in Kyoto. After this, we made our way to Kyoto city centre, and the group split in 2. Most of the guys went to a micro pig cafe called Me Pig, but one of my friends and I had different plans. We went out for more shopping and scoped out the Nintendo Kyoto store before getting the best ramen I had on the entire trip. That night was our last night in Kyoto, so we had one last night of tinnies in our lovely Kyoto crib and got ready to head off in the morning.
Day 9.
Nee-naw. Did you hear that? Yep, it was Osaka time. We checked into our new Airbnb for the next 5 days, and when checking out the roof, the girls spotted something rather beautiful.
Holy fuck, I'm gonna buy so much Strong Zero, and I'm gonna buy so many Onigiri balls.
We started that night by trying the best okonomiyaki I will probably ever have in my entire life. We ordered so much that by the end I was quite literally a defeated man. We then got to experience one of my favourite parts of Japan for the very first time, the beautiful Dotonbori. Later that night we found a retro game bar and met some new friends for the night, and after several shots and drinks later, we got home at some point.
Day 10.
7-Eleven pit stop, and it was time for a day trip to Nara. Yes, we got to go visit the famous Nara Deer Park and feed the buying deer. Very cool, very swag, I like. Then that night we had a few tinnies in and went to a local bar near our place before having an early-ish night, because
Day 11.
we had booked the day at Universal Studios and Nintendo World Osaka. Everyone was literally bouncing for this one, and I was ready for some bad boy roller coasters. The girls all got Mario headbands and we went off to a Pokemon themed cafe for lunch. As it was nearly Halloween, all the food was based on different ghost Pokemon, which was unreal. We then went and visited Harry Potter World and did the Hollywood Dream roller coaster several times before getting on one of the fastest roller coasters I've ever been on, the Flying Dinosaur. The G-force in this one nearly ripped the flesh off my skeleton, and then that night it was our slot for Super Nintendo World, which I have to say, Nintendo did an absolute fantastic job of this park visually. Everywhere you look it makes you feel like you're actually in a Mario level, and they've put so much effort into this. We then got to go on the Mario Kart's Koopa Challenge ride, which was great. As a family who love to play Don't Drink and Drive Mario Kart, this was an awesome one. After a long day of theme parking, I headed home with my new Mario balloon, and a great time was had by all.
Day 12.
That morning, we headed over to Amerikamura, where we explored and shopped most of the day. The day before, we had been in touch with some people from a tattoo studio in Amerikamura called, and I shit you not, Boobies. We all wanted to get something that would commemorate the trip, so we thought not very long and not very hard. One person got a Torii Gate, one person got a Japanese hand fan, one got a lucky cat, and then there was my fiancé and I. We too wanted to get something traditional and Japanese. Just kidding, we got a tin of Boss coffee and a tin of Strong Zero. The guys in the studio even managed to sneak out to the nearest convenience store and get us a tin of each as a little present, which was really cool of them. After this, would you believe it, we went to another arcade before heading down to Dotonbori for the night and found what ended up being our favourite bar in Osaka, called Moonwalk Bar. So many reasons to love this place. There was a balcony that let you look over the canal in Dotonbori. The guy who ran the bar had the best service I've ever seen in my entire life. The drinks were cheap, the service was good, all round an unreal night. If you're ever in Dotonbori, I would highly recommend seeking this one out.
Day 13.
There were a few sore heads the next day, but my fiancé and I managed to get up and make our way to Osaka Castle in the morning. After this, we got the train to Umeda for the day. This was mainly based around me wanting to go to the final Nintendo store I hadn't been to yet, but worked out well because nearby was Umeda Sky, which was our second observation deck of the trip. Luckily, unlike our day in Shibuya, the weather was actually good this time, and we got to watch the sunset across Osaka. There were a lot of bad feels in the air though, because 3 of our group were heading back to Tokyo to fly home the next day. When we got in that night, we said our goodbyes to a few of our friends, and went back out for one last night in Dotonbori. This led us back to Oko Fun, the okonomiyaki place we went on day 1. Now knowing how big the portion sizes were, we didn't go overboard this time. However, for anyone that's been to Oko Fun before, you'll know that there are markers everywhere for you to sign and doodle on the walls, the roof, the pipes, anywhere you want. So we left our mark on the top floor, and yes, I have the handwriting of a toddler. The rest of the night we didn't go too mad, we just had a few drinks and walked round Dotonbori for the very last time. And just like that, it was sadly time to leave Osaka. But on a bright note,
Day 14.
we were heading back to Tokyo for our last 4 days of the trip. And this time we were staying in Asakusa. This time we were staying in a manga-themed hotel. This was a bit of a different stay than our first time in Tokyo, as it was nowhere near as busy and party as Shinjuku. Only 5 minutes walk away we had the beautiful Sensoji Temple, and of course the Tokyo Skytree, Asahi Beer Hall, and the famous Golden Poo were nearby. That night we found an izakaya for dinner and got some churros on the way home. And while waiting for our churros, I heard the sweet sounds of Iron Maiden coming from nearby. And by nearby, I mean literally next door was a rock and metal bar. We then headed home, but the party didn't stop there. We did our usual move of grabbing a tinny of Strong Zero and headed over to that metal bar we had spotted earlier on. At said rock and metal bar, we had many a drink until quite late into the night. When we left the rock and metal bar, it was quite late at night. As we were walking home, I'd mentioned to my partner that I'd seen signs for a secret ninja bar. But we had a long day of travelling and we thought we'd do the sensible thing. Nah, just kidding. We spent about 15-20 minutes trying to find this place. And sure enough, in what looked like an underground station of some sort, we eventually found it. The bartender in here was dressed as a ninja, would you believe? When you order your first drink, they insist that you pick a song and sing it for the rest of the bar. We ended up meeting a bunch of new friends, and this was another out until 5 in the morning sesh. I had to be carried home that night.
Day 15.
And today we were back in Shibuya, but this time we spent the day in the district of Harajuku, which is known for its weird and crazy clothing. I'd heard a few negative things about it online, but I actually quite liked it here. We bought some cool clothes and visited the Mugiwara Harajuku store that had just opened. For lunch, we found a place that did some of the fluffiest pancakes known to man, and then we took some pizzas home to eat at the hotel. That night, would you have guessed it, we had some titties, and then went back to the rock bar for a couple more, before heading out to a Taito arcade, which turned into one of the most ridiculous nights of winning stuff I've ever seen. And I'm not even kidding when I say we came home with 3 bags full of shit from claw machines. This secured our need for another suitcase on the way home.
Day 16.
Today we headed over to Tokyo Skytree and explored the Tokyo Solamachi, which Google tells me is also known as the Tokyo Skytree town. Now we did intend to go up the Skytree that day, but it was very busy, so we booked it for the day after. Now, tonight was special because it was pretty much our last night to go mad, so we had to choose wisely where we wanted to spend it. Luckily, this was not a hard decision at all. We all unanimously agreed we had a favourite place we were dying to go back to. So we hopped on a train and headed back to Kabukicho, Shinjuku. Yes, we were back where it all started. We grabbed a tin and were staring over Kabukicho Tower in all its glory, before we decided to head inside to the Bandai Namco arcade for a bit.
That's it, you are so fucking close, man.
We then decided to do something we didn't do the first time we were in Kabukicho, and that was the famous Golden Guy. However, we didn't actually stop here and drink for the night because it was very busy, and there was one bar in particular that we all wanted to go back to, Sai Rock Bar. Yes, we went back and partied with those guys one more night. They had to send one of the barmen out twice to get a new bottle of vodka that night. We long missed the last train home, and as a result had to get a hella expensive taxi home, but we didn't regret a thing.
Day 17.
The next morning, against all odds, 2 of us made it up Tokyo Skytree, and with a view of 450 meters up, we got to admire my new favourite city in the world. What was even cooler was that the Skytree had a collaboration on with Jujutsu Kaisen, which had just recently finished in Japan. so everywhere you looked it was Jujutsu Kaisen themed. After this we went to Nakano City again, mainly to have a look at Nakano Broadway, which we actually missed last time. And with our last night, we went out in Asakusa one more time. Had churros one more time, a drink one more time, an arcade one more time, and then
Day 18.
we don't talk about day 18.